get live. You ready to go? Sure. Governor and GDP stuff. That's good stuff, man. Third in the country. Boom. I'll try to show them close up. I wrote that. I printed it out real big. All right. Will you? Okay. Ready? Yeah, we're good, man. Frank's mute that.
Hi, welcome to South Charleston today. Glad to have everybody. Good turnout. Appreciate you all coming out today and being here for this really, really important issue that is going to have very tough effects on city and county, to put it lightly. So I appreciate you coming out, and again, welcome here. And at this time, I want to just simply introduce Secretary Dave Hardy to come to the podium. Dave?
Sweet.
Well, Frank's a modest mayor, and I told Frank over here Groundhog Day one time, which reminded me of it many times. If you die, you're a politician, and you die and go to political heaven, you wake up, you're the mayor of South Charleston, all right? It's the best place to be mayor in the whole state of West Virginia, I have to say. Other than government, sorry, man. I went to high school, Craig, so he knows stuff on me and I know stuff on him. So anyway, thank you for being here. As most of you know, it's so good to be on my home territory here where I actually know who people are. I'm the Secretary of Revenue for the Governor. I have been since January of 2017. And let me tell you about what it was like the day we showed up there. We got there the first day and they handed us our financial report for fiscal year 17. We were about halfway through fiscal year 17. And there was brackets. I hadn't seen any brackets at Kanawha County's financial reports yet. There were brackets, and they were in red. And it said, State of West Virginia, $217 million in the hole for the fiscal year to date. So we said, oh my goodness, we're down $217 million. Then the next report, given to me by Mike McCowan, our state budget director, he said, well, buddy, let's take a look at this one. I looked at the next one, and it was fiscal year 2018, which was going to start on July 1st, 2017, and we were $497 million more in the hole. So my East Bank High School math, I added those two numbers up in my head real fast, and I said, look at this. Look, Governor, we are over $700 million in the hole the day we got there. That was our starting point. That was 5.5 years ago. June 30th of this year was a historic day for West Virginia. And this is not a Republican or Democratic thing here I'm talking about. This is West Virginia. On June 30th of 2022, West Virginia had a surplus of $1,308 million under the leadership of Governor Jim Justice. Can I give a round of applause?
Listen to this. No.
2 weeks later, less than 2 weeks later, the governor said, we need to start giving people the money back. We need to start giving West Virginians a refund and start cutting taxes in the state. And he asked Mark Muco and I, my buddy here to the right, Deputy Secretary of Revenue, come up with a plan and what we can do, and do it fast. So we looked around the country, we did our research, mainly through the Tax Foundation, which is a very good body of research that we use. And here's what we found. Out of 50 states, there are 9 that don't have an income tax. Obviously, 49 do. Those 9 states in the last 10 years have grown their economies twice as fast as the rest of the United States. And I'm talking about Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Nevada, Wyoming, South Dakota, Alaska. They're growing at twice the rate
of the other states. Then we looked at the economic figures. In those 9 states, the economics of those 9 states, the gross product in those 9 states grew 56% faster than the other 41 states. And we showed this stuff to the governor, and then we added one more thing that we found out that you probably would know by common sense, but we had to see the studies to prove it. Telework. Telework is not future, it's now. Everybody in the country is going to telework all over the United States. And basically, the research showed exactly what you would think it would show. People that work out of their homes, they want to live in states. Where do they want to go? Teleworkers want to go where the taxes are low, right? Common sense. So we started thinking about Maryland and Virginia and all those places. And we told the governor all this information, and he said, let's go for it. Let's come up with a plan to eliminate the state income tax right now. So we drafted a bill. We called the West Virginia legislature in session, first week of July, second week actually, and the House of Delegates in one day passed a bill that cut West Virginia's income taxes by 10%, which would have put $271 million in your pocket immediately in the year 2022, back into the economy. However, the state Senate did not want to even take up the governor's bill, refused to put it on the agenda, refused to vote on it. And of course, why is that? Because of this Amendment 2. Now, let me tell you about Amendment 2. A little West Virginia history here. In November of 1932, long time ago, 90 years ago, the people of West Virginia voted to put in our Constitution that property tax revenue stays local. It stays right here in this fire department. It stays right here in our county courthouse. It stays right in Montgomery where you're running your city, Mayor. Property tax revenue stays with local government. I'm talking about the cities, talking about the counties, I'm talking about the school boards. So when you pay your property taxes, that revenue stream is guaranteed in the West Virginia Constitution to stay where it came from, with local government. Amendment 2 is an attempt by the legislature, which we'll be voting on it because, remember, changes to the Constitution have to be voted on by the people. It's an attempt to take the property tax revenue out of the Constitution and let the legislature decide where the property tax revenue is going to be spent. We're talking $500+ million that is guaranteed to local government right now to do exactly what local government's supposed to do, and it's going to be handed to the West Virginia legislature. And the West Virginia legislature says, don't worry. I heard this yesterday on Monday on Kent's radio debate. West Virginia legislature says, don't worry, we've created a fund. And every year, through our budget process, we're going to budget the money back to the cities and counties every year. So instead of having a guarantee of this revenue, all the cities and counties are going to have to go up to the Capitol with your hat in your hand and say, West Virginia legislature, will you please, kind legislature and kind governor, budget our money back to us? Sounds pretty good when times are good, right? Oh, we got the money, it's not a problem. Does anybody here think for the next 100 years it's always going to be the same governor, the same legislature that's going to budget this money back to the cities, counties, and schools? Or is it going to be this? Well, we've got a lot of trouble up here at the Capitol. You know, we've got PEIA, we've got Medicaid. We've got to give our state employees pay raises. We've got more jail bill issues. You're going to get in line with everybody else at the Capitol. So you think about this. A vote for Amendment 2 means you give up your guaranteed revenue to the West Virginia legislature forevermore. A vote against Amendment 2 means that we keep doing what we've been doing for the last 90 years. The people of West Virginia have put in our Constitution that you will always get the property tax revenue to fund local government. So that's the purpose of us being here today. And let me tell you about the governor. He's standing there ready to roll. When he got there, we were $700 million in the hole. 5.5 years later, we're $1.3 billion on the up. All right? And the governor that led us to there and led us through the pandemic, the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
Okay. I thought Hardy would never quit talking. Y'all got to forgive me. Now, I didn't bring Babydog, so don't give me a hard time right off the get-go, okay? They just handed me these outside just a second ago. And, well, this one is all the big companies that we'll get to in just a second, a great big list all the way down. And I guess you can find this. Where can they find this list?
That list came from Commissioners Carper and Andrew Gannett, Kanawha County Courthouse.
You know, at the end of the day, and I'm not going to go through blow by blow with you, but there's a long list, and lots of folks that, you know, aren't on the list that you need to do a little bit of research about. But there's a lot of corporations that are getting a great big payday if you pass Amendment 2. And a lot of those corporations are corporations that are out-of-state corporations. And on top of all that, I'm a real believer that all I'm really here to primarily do is at least give you the knowledge to be able to make the decision that you want to make. I'm not here to say, tell you what, let's do. We'll change the Constitution. We'll absolutely take county control away. We'll put all the control in Charleston. You'll absolutely, at that point in time, be totally dependent upon Charleston. And we'll absolutely get you to vote for it by putting the car tax with it. And everybody wants to get rid of their car tax, so all of you will run out and vote for it. So basically, we've hoodwinked you. Well, you see, I don't think that's right. I don't think there's anything right about that at all. And so with all of that, you know, just let me just show you just this. I got to get this over here. Because they just handed me this just a second ago. Oop. All right. And it's this sheet right here. They just handed me this. It says up at the top, West Virginia of all places. Now think about it. West Virginia GDP growth. West Virginia GDP growth, third highest for the second quarter in the nation. We have the third highest GDP growth in the nation. Only 2 states in the whole country higher than us, Florida and Texas. And in reverse order, Texas and Florida. All the states that are around us, all those states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia, every one of them that are around us are retracting, and West Virginia's growing. Please, somebody tell me, what in the world do we need to fix? Why do we need to be embarking on, well, forget that, on changing our Constitution? Why do we need to take away your guaranteed source of revenue on a county basis? Why do we need to put at risk the possibility of our kids at schools, or our firemen, or our policemen, or our seniors? What if a county gets in really tough shape? And at the end of the day, what's going to happen? Do you really think business is going to want to come to counties that are having a hard time? I mean, really and truly, there's so much here at risk. And why'd we do it? I'll guarantee you I'm right about why we did it. We did it because absolutely we have become in many ways what I refer to as the swamp. You see, my definition of the swamp is really simple. And that is just think about what the swamp is in DC. It's just this. It's elected officials are there to serve the people, to serve all y'all. You see, at the end of the day, my vehicle is kind of beat up in a lot of different ways, but I drive my vehicle all the time. I drive myself all the time. I absolutely don't take a salary. I don't want anything. Now, a lot of people can't do that, but I can afford to do that. Now, I can surely to goodness, it would be nice to have somebody driving you around, didn't have the wear and tear on your body and all that kind of stuff that you have all the time. But literally, I don't want anything. You see, I believe with all my soul that our forefathers created this incredible country, and many of them lost everything they had. They gave up their farms. They gave up everything for us, for all of us. Now, so at least what we should be doing as public servants is serving. That's what we ought to be doing. Well, what's going on here? Why has all this happened? Here's exactly why it's happened. Because I said just a second ago, the swamp. Now let's just stay right with me. Legislatures in DC, and I'll use DC to make it easy, have lobbyists come up. They have money. They have every promise of helping with your campaign funds, of helping with your next election, whatever the situation may be. Then the lobbyist basically buys their vote. And then what happens is that the lobbyist is not the one wanting the vote. It's some special interest group, the Sierra Club or big business or whatever it may be. And then you become wedded to that cause and you can't get away from it. Now, I am telling you with all in us, what you got going on right now in Charleston is the same kind of stuff. And really, at the end of the day, just think with me just 1 second. We got $5 gasoline, or they're close. And who knows what it'll be in this winter. And you got people that are really struggling at the grocery store on what in the world we're going to do. What are we going to do? And tell me why, you tell me how any of this makes any sense. I come up with the idea and said, let's give everybody, because of how they're dealing with inflation, let's give everybody a 10% tax cut. Now, if it was all legit, Republicans, especially Republicans of all things, Republicans stand for tax cuts in every way. Sure to goodness, when you got $1.3 billion, a billion with a B, 3 in surplus, you can give $254 million to the counties, to the people. And it went, in one day, it passed the House. Boom, gone. Well, I expected the next day for sure to pass the Senate, and it just stopped. I couldn't believe it. I said, what in the world is going on? Why in the world? What is going on? You know, you would think, sure to God, the governor ought to know. But I was stunned. And so the deeper you dig, the more you find stuff that's not very good. First of all, they got to have all the money. Because the 800-pound gorilla in the room doesn't have anything to do with car tax. It has everything to do with machinery and inventory, which is that list. Now, and so with all of that and everything to do with control, you see, what we wanted to be able to do is stand on a soapbox and say, I got rid of your car tax, vote for me. That's really what we would want. We're headed down the path to do. And at the end of the day, Charleston knows better than you know 1,000 to 1. Charleston can run your stuff better than you can run it. Well, when do we believe such stuff? And then we hit it, even from the governor. And we went around and around and around telling everybody how great this is going to be and making up all these numbers. The numbers are funny money numbers. Now, if you believe that the state of West Virginia is not going to have another bump in the road, then vote for this. If you believe that, I tell people, Babydog, if she was here, if you believe that, Babydog's got a nice bunch of land that has oceanfront property all around it in Kansas that she'll sell you, because it is silly to believe that we're not going to ever have a bump in the road. From Jim Justice's standpoint, and I tell you this all the time, that's why there's many facets of this that aren't very good. From Jim Justice's standpoint, you tell me, I'd bet all the money I got just about, who in this room is going to benefit from the machinery and inventory tax being gone more than me? I bet there's nobody. So if I'm going to benefit from it more than anybody, and I'm sitting here telling you don't do it, now you find somebody that will do that. I'm telling you right now, without any question, this would mean millions of dollars to me. And I'm telling you, don't do it. Because you see, I didn't sign up for that. And you may think whatever you may think, and I really, in lots of ways, I don't really care what you think. Because my dad taught me one thing for sure. He said, if the good Lord knows, and I know, that's all that really matters in lots of ways. You see, I really believe that the good Lord made me Jim Justice for a reason. And I'm here for you. And I'm going to stand rock solid there, way above being here for me. I'm not going to do that. I never have, and I won't. And I'll tell you the truth with all in me. I'll make mistakes. For God's sakes of living, I'm the one that flashed the Bulldog's butt to Bette Midler. I mean, well, I mean, some of us liked it, to be perfectly honest. Again, from my standpoint, I love rubbing people's nose in it that said all the bad stuff about West Virginia and never knew how great you really were. And now they do. And now we're on our way. So I had to find a way to get rid of the car tax, period. So I got with our revenue people, and we came up with this way to do it through a rebate that'll get rid of it just shoof. So what you can do to God above right now is you can take this to the bank that your car tax issue is gone. It's gone. Now, and here's a testimony to that. Let's say we shoot down Amendment 2 and it's gone. The next day, I send up the car tax, getting the car tax rebate. Now, literally, a bunch of you are already going to be mad at the legislatures for what they did and stuff in hiding stuff from you, because they did. I mean, for God's sake, they blooming did. They went around and even bragged about it. They bragged about saying, we'll put the car tax with it and you'll vote, people will vote for it hands down. Now, you're already mad at them a little bit, but now, shoot down Amendment 2. And the next day I send up the rebate to get rid of your car tax. Do you think one of them is going to vote no? They're not crazy. You'll kill them. I mean, you would go completely crazy on them. There's no way the car tax is even around in play at all now. It's gone. So now you've got a decision. Do you want to give up control of a guaranteed income stream? Do you want to have Charleston control everything and the county not control anything? Do you really want to put a stake in the heart of the personal income tax forever? Do you want to do those things? And I would say to you, if you want to do those things, that ain't smart. That's all there is to it. You don't have to do this stuff. So, if you're there and you're with me there, then you got to do something now. Because on the other hand, let's just say that bump does happen. And I guarantee you, I call it dupe happens, and it will. It'll happen. I guarantee it'll happen. I'll probably be gone. I'll just ride the wave to the end. And from this standpoint, you may say, well, gosh, Justice is really taking a big risk. I'm taking no risk. None. If you shoot Amendment 2 down, I'll applaud you and then say, way to go. If you vote for it, I'm going to ride the wave to the end. You're going to say, boy, we had a great governor. I'm going to say bye. And then I'm going to see you in Walmart, and I'm going to look right at you and say, I told you so. Because the wheels are going to fly off. Guarantee it. They fly off in every one of our lives all the time. They're going to fly off. It's either going to be PEI needs money, we need pay raises, we need matching dollars to get federal funds, whatever, Medicaid, whatever. We're going to have some bumps in the road. And when they do, then what we're going to do is we're going to turn to these great firemen and EMSs and policemen, we're going to turn to them and say, can y'all not do with like a 20% cut? Can y'all not get by with just 20% less money? Because we don't have enough money to go around to everybody. That's exactly what will happen. Now, and you won't like me if you see me in Walmart. And Babydog's liable to bite you. But you're not going to do this. Now, there's big money that will flood the airways to try to get you to do this. I'm telling you what's going on isn't any good. And I'm telling you that if you believe like I believe, now you're the disciples. A poll that just came out in Metro News said 22% of the people are for this, 14% haven't decided yet, and 63% said no. Praise the Lord. But if you sit on your laurels and just depend on that to be that way, see, 4 weeks ago, it was 80% for, 20% against. And then, I hate to say this, but Yogi got involved. And all of a sudden, all of you got involved. And before you know it, the people's voice started being heard. Now, if you believe in what I'm telling you, you're the disciples. You got to get to work. You got to tell anybody and everybody, because absolutely they're about to get their legs blown off. In many cases, they don't know it. And the very people, and I don't see any kids here, really young kids. But at the end of the day, and I mean this so sincerely, this isn't about us. It's about them. It really is. You see, I truly believe that the good Lord made me Jim Justice for that reason, and he made every single one of you who you are for a reason. That's why you're here. That you got enough gumption to come out and be here. So with all that being said, I'll answer any question I can. If I can, I'll defer to Dave. If we can't, Dave can't answer it, Kent, you got to handle it. Thank you so much. Ask me anything, please. Don't ask me how strong this stool is, because it is really strong. Let me tell you, you got 2 or 3 weeks. This is a monstrous decision. And it can really hurt us if we go the wrong way. If you believe and trust in me and the thing I've always done and I'll do to my grave, I'll tell you the truth. I'll make mistakes, but I'll tell you the truth. And I could give a hoot if you're a Republican or a Democrat or independent. I could give a blooming hoot. At the end of the day, we're in this as West Virginians, and that's the way we should be. That's exactly how we ought to be. We should be. Now, I have strong conservative views, and many on the Democrat side don't have those strong conservative views. That's okay. That's okay. We ought to be human, respectful people. Got too many people on the outside throwing rocks at us.
Governor, the first county commission to go on record in the state being against Amendment 2 was the Kanawha County Commission. And I would love for Kent, as president of the commission, to say a few words if he'd be inclined to do so.
Please do. Please, no, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where's Chief White? Oh, Chief, I told you this one time and you were mad at me for about 3 years. I said, your fire truck only makes sense one day of the year, that's Halloween. Now think about this. You might think this isn't accurate, but how would you like to go to the legislature and ask permission to buy paint to paint this fire truck, the color that the citizens of South Charleston like, your colors, South Charleston colors? And Governor, you really hit a good tone here. I don't know if you hit this or not. But when you talk about Charleston, we're in South Charleston. All you had to do is say Charleston and get up and leave. Sorry, Mayor. Well, South Charleston's proud. South Charleston's proud. You ought to be.
See, I didn't say South Charleston, did I? No. I said Charleston, didn't I?
Yes, sir.
I mean, look at that man. That man's wearing a pink shirt. That man can whip your you-know-what bad.
Good point, Governor. Think about this. When's the last time a sitting governor came to South Charleston, Mayor, and addressed your employees, your first responders? When was that?
First time I know.
It's the very first time. Why would Governor Justice come to South Charleston and talk to you about his concern about how you'll be able to continue to protect your community and protect your lives? Because he believes in that. This city overwhelmingly voted for Jim Justice for governor, not once, but twice. This state allowed and trusted Jim Justice to lead us through the worst.
Wait a minute, Kent. Now, hold it. So y'all are to blame for putting me through this, right?
Yes.
I'm just.
The governor led us through the worst health care crisis, Monica, isn't that true, in 100 years? The governor has led us through floods. In the eastern part of Kanawha County, we've seen bad damage and floods. We've seen people killed. And this governor, we trusted his judgment. We trusted his wisdom. Now, why is Governor Justice going up against what is one of the most popular things you could offer, a tax cut with no consequence? Now, some of you, most of you know me, and I don't claim to be the smartest person in the world, but every once in a while, I'm right on something. And I'm also right on this. They'll use this against me when I run again, that I opposed the tax cut. So why am I doing this? Because I don't have anything else to do, Sheriff? Don't have anything else to do? I do have something else to do. But I can tell you this, I know how it really works. And Chief White, you know how it really works. Now you just think about this. This $600 million that they say is going to be, they say it's going to be there in perpetuity, forever. It's free money, the surplus. And Governor, you deserve tremendous credit for the surpluses we have. But at the same time, some of it did come from some of the federal money. Some of it came from budgeting. Doesn't make any difference where it came from. They're going to spend it, and 70% of it is going to go. You know who the number one winner is in Kanawha County? Walmart. Now, I'm telling you, Walmart needs a tax break, right? The number two is Kroger. Kroger needs a tax break, right? And they're going to give you pennies for the average voter. But I want to talk to first responders. you're the ones that are going to be in trouble, because I can hear it right now. How many firefighters you got now, Virgil? 54? Well, I was off, sorry. Got that number wrong. You'll have 60 before the end of the year, probably, knowing you. Now you think about that. You go to the legislature and you got Senator Curmudgeon from some county. He goes, well, you know, you got 50 some firemen. Well, we've only got 2 in Quinwood. Why do you need all that money for? How do you explain that? And this also affects our schools, our public education. It affects the quality of life we have. But I can tell you this much. When you lose the power of the purse strings, right now, when a South Charleston policeman, a South Charleston fireman, or a worker or a citizen doesn't like the fact that their trash only gets picked up twice a week, which is still crazy, Frank, just crazy. But no, I'm not gonna say it here. You know who you can hold accountable? The mayor and your council. After this, I know what I'll do. I'll see the legislature, and you can't talk to them. This is an attack on public safety. They hate it when I say this. I'll say it because it's true. It is defunding the police. It's defunding the fire service. It's defunding EMS, and it's defunding 911. Because believe it or not, there is a power shift in West Virginia, and it's going up north. And that's where the control is. And the governor is right. We'll be in a long, long line. That is my concern about Amendment 2. That's why I oppose Amendment 2. And just for the last little thing on this, Mayor, I'm assuming millions of dollars are at stake for South Charleston. Millions. And all you got to do is trust them. They'll always pay it. Forever, they'll have the money to pay it. Governor Justice is a businessman. Governor Justice is telling us that eventually the surpluses will go away. They always do. Even in South Charleston, you have times you have to tighten things up. Can you imagine when you go there and they say, well, you know, we got to pay our employees. The governor said that. The governor's correct. Governor Justice is. We already see that right now. We've got our own problems. State of West Virginia, this country is facing record inflation. Most people think we're going to go into a recession. The governor has having trouble hiring people to work in prisons. I wonder why. Who wants to go work in a prison to begin with? You can't pay them enough. We're having those trouble right now. Maybe some of this money the legislature could use that for. But this is a gimmick written by special interest. And the community that will be hurt the worst is you, our firefighters, our police officers, our paramedics, our 911. I will guarantee you that. So again, and when the governor talks about the counties, he's certainly talking about our cities, because the mayor of Mullins knows that as well as anybody. So I personally am proud to stand next to Governor Justice. He is doing this for the right reason. He's telling you the truth, and your neighbors and your friends will listen to you. And if you're convinced this hurts you, and if I didn't convince you of that, and the governor didn't convince you of that, then he'll come back and he'll bring Babydog. Won't you, Governor?
I will.
Thank you.
I promise. Yes, sir.
Has there ever been an amendment like this offered to the people to vote on in the past? Or is this really uncharted territory?
I guess 1932.
1932, and I want to say for the record that legal research was done by Andrew Gannot.
And it broke the cities and it broke the counties. And that's why we have orphan roads.
Yep, exactly.
It worked great.
90 years.
Before I go, let me just say this too. All of y'all. First of all, everybody. We've all gone through this crazy pandemic and it's been really tough. I would encourage you, get your booster shots. Because this stuff, winter's coming and it's still out there. And there's still great people that we're losing. But I can tell you just this, that when we didn't know what in the world to do, many of y'all ran to the fire every day. And many of you have probably lost loved ones along the way, and it's been tough. It's really been tough. You had courage beyond belief. You're heroes beyond all comprehension. I can't fathom how you would feel if now, really and truly, what we do is we turn and we say, a big giant company is really worth more than you. A big giant company is really worth more than taking care of the very people that saved us, ran to the fire, probably took this dreaded killer to your families, and who knows, you may have lost a loved one, whatever it may be. Look, at the end of the day, and I've said it 14,000 times, it's not that I am so anti-machinery and inventory tax. I am absolutely pro-business and opportunity and will always be. But we just got it completely backwards. You see, the first thing we should do is take care of the people. For God's sakes, a living. Let's just take care of the people. Get rid of your car tax. Right behind that, do something about your income tax, not great big companies. And then, you know what you'll do? All that money, you'll spend it right here. You become our own incentive program, hand grown, all the time. And then if we'll just step back and just think, what states are really growing? What states really are growing? They're the ones that are on the pathways of getting rid of their state income tax, or have already gotten rid of their state income tax. That drives growth, real growth. This business of machinery and inventory is fine, but what we should do is first a car, second to personal income tax, and see and breathe and see where we stand. And then if things are still great, then look at the machinery and inventory. But if we want to grow people here in West Virginia, and people say, well, what about the small businesses? Well, listen, just please listen to me. My God, to live in small businesses, if more people are coming, I would rather have the small business doing twice as much business as I would give him $14 today and then the county blow up and then small business gone. You know, this is just backwards. Look, I may not be much in this world, but I can buzz the numbers. And I can buzz the numbers. And it doesn't, and literally, I'd put myself up against anybody. I'd put myself up against all of them put together in that capital, you know, as far as the numbers. And I'm going to tell you, this thing is just backwards. It's just plain backwards. It can really hurt you. Has anybody else got any questions? I'd ask you, please go to work. You don't want to see me at Walmart. You've already said Walmart is getting a whole lot of money here. They're not going to probably like me anyway. Okay. So right behind that and everything, and we appreciate Walmart and love Walmart, don't get me wrong, in every way. It's just a simple fact that I always call it Toby and Edith, and that's all y'all. Toby and Edith are dealing with $5 gasoline and the prices in the grocery stores, and literally inflation is eating us up, and it's probably going to get even tougher. Yesterday, they handed me a sheet. I didn't bring it with me. It said, the Wall Street Journal says, without any doubt, you've got to expect a recession immediately. Well, let me just give you one more last thought. What if there is a recession that is really substantial and job losses come right with it? What's going to happen if that be the case? Prices rise. Absolutely, with all that around you and everything, there can be all kinds of repercussions to you individually. If you lose your job, it can just get worse and worse. It gets worse on the revenue coming in and everything else. If there's a true recession where there's true job loss, then that's going to be the bump in the road. Then the counties aren't going to have the money. Then all of a sudden you're going to lose services. Charleston's going to be in control, and Charleston's going to be right where they were when I walked in the door. When I walked in the door, the only idea on the table was one idea: cut. That's all we could do. Now, you can say what you want, but that's all that could be done. You had a $217 million deficit at that point in time for 6 months, and looking at 497 and looking at 772 behind that, and all we were going to do is cut. And I said, God Almighty knows this state's bankrupt. It's dead level bankrupt. Does anybody in the world understand that the more you cut, the more people are going to leave? And the more, when people leave, they take the revenue with them, and you keep just dragging the hole right with you? Does anybody not understand that? And we got on a pathway. And now here we are. Ungodly surpluses, goodness all over the place going on. And we're trying with all in us to blow our blooming legs off. Stand up. You got to stand up right now. That's all there is to it. I love you beyond good sense. I got a lot of things that I'd love to be doing other than this, even though I love you. And I really, really mean it. But there's nothing that's more important than this today. Go to work, please. Tell your in-laws and outlaws, and tell everybody they better go vote. And they better vote no for this, because it is really dangerous. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Nail right on the head. Thank you, guys. I'm a friend. Thank you for the challenge. I'm the mayor.